A lot of the brands didn't want to do business with us. In fact, they rejected us. They said we would never do business with someone like Harvey Norman Discounts.
Did you leave Harvey Norman because you were burned out? Or?
Yeah, absolutely. I reached a point where I said, honestly, I can't do this anymore. The greatest bit of wisdom that I can give younger people is don't be consumed to the point that you lose sight of enjoying the journey.
Welcome to Sydney Reflect, Tony.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
It's great to have you here. For someone like you to be here, I'm really grateful for that because, I keep on approaching a lot of people out there and mostly people don't see value coming to a podcast like mine because we are very, very small. We are like nothing, So you being here, I'm really grateful for that, man. Thank you.
Yeah, I think it's, I think you reach a point in your age in your life where you just like giving back.
Yeah.
It's got nothing to do with the commercial reality.
Yeah.
It's that when you have lived a life, you realise that the thing that you leave the most in life is the legacy of how you've helped other people. And it concerns me enormously when people say no because, they don't see any value in it. Well, the value is that you affect one person.
Yeah,
That's
the thing.
of infinite value.
I truly believe that too, I actually work as a support worker myself. So the kind of change I could make in that one person's life that I'm actually helping every week, it makes a lot of difference.
Absolutely.
So yeah, and people like you, I really appreciate people like you, who just want to help people, although they are getting nothing, who genuinely want to help people.
Yeah, but I wasn't always like that.
Yeah.
So, I think with age comes wisdom and with wisdom comes understanding.
Yeah.
And you realise that, ultimately, end of the day, you only have a certain amount of time on this earth and you can't waste it.
Truly.
Yeah.
That's something I believe too.
And I think you do it because you follow your passion. And you see a lot of people that, they're just going through the routines and not really enriching their lives. Because I think when you give, you live.
True. That's very true.
And I think, I think a lot of people lose that because I think we live in a society of scarcity and we have almost a poverty mentality where, I don't want to give anything back because we're trying to save something, hoard something, but you take nothing with you. It's a bit of a waste of time, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's almost like, well, what's it all for?
Exactly.
So it's just crazy.
You don't take anything when you die.
No, of course. And, but people get so caught up in their possessions and their stuff and all that sort of stuff. It's really, really weird when you see it.
Yeah. So let's get into the topics we actually wanted to talk to you about. So let's get into the topic of Harvey Norman, from 12 million to 570 million. How did you do that? How did you get into Harvey Norman?
Oh, look, honestly, I was at the right place at the right time. I was about 30 years old, probably a little bit younger. No, I would have been younger, about 26. And a friend of mine approached me and said, look, I'm working for this company called Harvey Norman Discounts. And why don't you join me? Now, at that stage, I didn't particularly want to join Harvey Norman Discounts because it wasn't at that stage, a very successful company. It was considered to be a discounter. And I had a marketing degree and I already had a very good job at Johnson & Johnson, which was considered to be the pinnacle of marketing success is to work for an FCMG company like Johnson & Johnson. But so what he then said is, why don't you just write a report? Because I know that you write reports about how Harvey Norman could sell computers through its retail outlets. And this is way back in the 1980s. And this was really at the start of the computers, of buying computers. And they were, you know, technology like Commodore 64 and Commodore VIC-20, which is very old technology, 8-bit technology, which is laughable now. And so I sort of wrote this report, and I think at that stage he said, look, the only promise I can give you, Tony, because I was a bit of an entrepreneur even at that stage, is that I will organise a meeting for you to present it to my boss, who happened to be Jerry Harvey of Harvey Norman, because he was very successful even at that stage, because he built a reputation of leaving his old company that he founded, Walton's, and starting up Norman Ross, and then getting kicked out of Norman Ross, and then starting up Harvey Norman to compete against to compete against Norman Ross. So he was quite famous in the media at that stage, because he was this maverick retailer who was, you know, who basically said, you know, I'm going to build a better retailer than the one that kicked me out. And he had all this amazing following. So I said, sure. And lo and behold, I had a meeting with him. He was very, very, very entrepreneurial. He was very different. He actually looked at the report. He actually read it. It was like 140 pages of waffle. I said the same thing over and over again. It was a terrible report if I look back at it now. And something that if someone gave to me now, I'd say this is just repeating itself over and over again. But he read it. He highlighted all the spelling mistakes, because my spelling was really bad. This was before computers. He joked around a lot, and he says, well, why don't you do it? And I said, I don't really want to do it. I just want to get paid for the reports. And he had a very charismatic nature about him. So I sort of said, you know, asked again, why don't you do it? Why don't you do it? If you're so committed towards selling computers into a retail store, because at that stage, no retailer was selling computers. They were predominantly being bought through dealers. So you had a standalone shop that was aimed at the business market that would sell computers, but not a retailer. That was unheard of, not a mass market retailer. So we started, and I knew nothing about retail, honestly. I was a babe in the woods. And I was there, and we were doing about 12 million, and it was ticking along, and I was learning a lot. I was very passionate. I was very Italian. I was very animated. I had a good relationship with the suppliers. I knew how to market because I came from a market, and the business was growing. And it got to about 35 million. But we stopped and we stalled. And the reason we stalled is because we couldn't get any more room to expand the departments, because Harvey Norman was franchised. And in the franchise environment, the electrical franchise was the senior franchisee. He was the guy that was selling the TVs, the fridges, the washing machines. And we were part of a small appliance franchise. So computers was considered to be such a joke that it didn't even have its own department. It was part of the toaster department. We would sell computers. And we couldn't get any more room because the senior franchisee said, well, I'm not going to give any room to computers. This is a joke. We shouldn't even be selling these things. Every time you sell one, the consumer comes back 6 or 7 times to understand how to use it. Because at that stage, a lot of people didn't know how to use computers. They knew they had to have a computer because they felt that they needed to have a computer, but they didn't actually know. And all the support was given to by the retailer, so unlike now. And we couldn't get any room. And then one day, it happened, and this is where you've sometimes got to listen. And one of our suppliers came to me and said, you should go to America, Tony. I said, and usually they would invite you to America to go to a factory visit to see their computers being built or whatever. But he said, we don't want you to do a factory visit. We want you to do a store visit. He said, what do you mean a store visit? He said, well, in America at that stage, there was this new retail model that was really capturing the consumer's attention. And they were called a concept called superstores. And a superstore was a large store that had a very large category assortment. So it was a big store that focused in on one category of products like computers, and it was wall-to-wall computers. So it was essentially like a supermarket for computers.
Okay.
And we went there and we were totally amazed. We travelled around Orange County and we saw these amazing stores. And they were, for us, these were a revelation. These were just, oh my goodness me. And we knew that this would be great to bring back to Australia. Because this is my first knowledge, is that success leaves seeds. You know, everyone thinks you have to be the first. I don't think so. I think you've just got to learn from others who are doing it well. And sometimes we look at our competitors who are very successful and we're jealous of them. But we shouldn't be jealous of them. We should try to understand what is making them so successful and model it. So we went there and we were in our suits and it was really funny. This was the stage, there was no mobile phones. And every store we worked into, and I can still remember them, Incredible Universe, Best Buy, CompUSA, every store we went into, we tried to take photographs. And there were security guards at these stores, and because it was considered to be rather new, and the security guards would approach us and say, why are you taking photographs? And they would kick us out and say, look, you can't take photographs.
Old diesel camera.
Yeah, these are camera, because they were old traditional flash cameras. What are you guys doing? And then I think we went back to our hotel rooms and said, why don't we just tell them we're from Australia? So we dressed down, we put jeans on, we put flannelette shirts on. And we knew the model that we liked. It was called CompUSA. So we went into a CompUSA store, and I can still remember it. And instead of trying to hide the fact that we were taking photographs, we went to the store manager and said, look, we're from Australia. And so we try to sort of say we're no threat to you because we're not Americans. I even said that we've got a store in Dubbo, because I think Dubbo is a really nice name if you did want to, threaten anybody. And he said, oh, we were just wondering if we could just take a few photos. And I said, oh, for sure. Why don't you come into my office and I can answer any questions. Now, we'd been kicked out of every other store. And we were with this guy for about 2 hours. Honestly, he just unloaded everything. It was like a divine appointment. And we were taking notes. He said, oh, you don't have to take photographs. I'll get my team to take photographs. And I remember we took that meeting, and on the plane backwards, we were there was 4 of us. And we started to actually build the floor plan for the first Harvey Norman computer superstore. And we went, when we got back after about a week, we went to the builder of Harvey Norman and said, because Jerry said, I'm okay spending some money. We just got to make sure it works. So we gave him the floor plan. We said, Noel, his name was Noel Sullivan, build this. And they built it. And the first one was actually at Newcastle, Bennett's Green, followed very closely by Auburn on Parramatta Road. And, oh my goodness me, they captured the imagination of the public. They were so busy. This was pre-internet. People used to drive and they would just come to the store to almost spend 4 hours there because it was so novel to see all this computer software and printers and computers. Like all these people who are into technology, they would just almost it was like they would just have a whole series there.
Yeah.
And we knew we had something amazing. And Jerry, because he had money, and that was the important thing, he said, I want you to build as many of these as possible. This is absolutely going to cane it. And within the space of about 4 years, we built 87 superstores.
Wow.
And it was quite amazing because Harvey Norman, although it was a big company even at that stage, was probably doing about $2 billion. Only 5% of its revenue came from computers. And in the space of 9 years, the computer division became the largest division of Harvey Norman, and it eclipsed electrical, and it did 31% of the turnover of the business. It changed Harvey Norman because Harvey Norman was a publicly listed company. And suddenly the entire marketplace started to view Harvey Norman as this technology retailer, which was much more sexy than a furniture retailer.
Yeah.
And the share prices went through the roof. Jerry was really happy. All the investors and the investor relations went through the roof because everybody wanted to talk to Harvey Norman. And at one stage in retail, at the height of our success, we had about 83% market share of every personal computer sold in retail was through a Harvey Norman outlet, which was extraordinary to have that amount of domination.
This was during 90s?
In a marketplace, huh?
This was during the 90s?
Yeah, during the 90s, before 2000. So you had a number of factors. You had the computers. A lot of schools were saying Johnny needs to have a computer. So there was all that. Prices were coming down, so it was becoming a bit more affordable. And also, you didn't have the internet at that stage, so predominantly it was still software driven. So you would buy, the hardware, and then you would buy the software to put inside the computer. We had floppy disks and disk drives, and I don't know if you remember all of that. And that was it, and it was an amazing experience because the company grew by about 130% every year, and it was amazing. It was just growing at such a rapid rate, and I was very, very fortunate to be there.
Yeah. What was it like being able to manage that many people?
It was very difficult.
Yeah,
I was not ready.
Yeah.
I was still very young.
When you brought the idea from like US to Australia, did it just work in the first instance, or did you have to do a lot of repetitions and verifications?
Well, we had a lot of. The benefit we also had is that we had a lot of suppliers would give us money for advertising. So part of the relationship is that, and we started to advertise very aggressively. We were doing pages. This was before the internet, so the biggest newspaper was a Sunday newspaper called the Sunday Telegraph and the Sun Herald, and you would also have the Saturday papers, and this is before people were still getting news from newspapers. So we used to take double page ads and triple page ads right at the front, and it was always about computers because I was getting a lot of money from suppliers because suppliers said, we've got to be with you. If we're not with you, we're going to fall behind. And all of the brands, it was really interesting. It was still very brand orientated. And a lot of the brands didn't want to do business with us. In fact, they rejected us. They said we would never do business with someone like Harvey Norman Discounts. We are very dealer focused. But over time, we were the first retailer to have the big three. And at that stage, the big three was the CIA, which was Compaq Computers, which got bought out by Hewlett-Packard, IBM, and Apple, CIA. And we were the first retailer in Australia to basically get credibility by saying, we have these big brands. And once the big brands came on board, they knew they couldn't live without us because we did so much volume for them. They said, we can't, we don't like you, but we can't afford not to do business with you. So essentially, the tide changed. And it's a bit like, I can explain it the best way I can explain it. It's a bit like the hi-fi market was. Traditionally, the hi-fi marketplace, when it first came into Australia, you would go to a small shop like a hi-fi dealer. And then what happens is as the market matures, the product then starts to get distributed to retailers. We forced that change in computers. So it was very much the computers were the dealers, and because we started it, we became so successful and we were so aggressive, we were able to maintain a very long domination for a period of time. And the greatest challenge was getting leaders who wanted to run stores. A lot of them were unprepared because they had run small stores of 4 people. But when you had a superstore, you had 40 staff. So you went from 4 staff to 40 staff. And it's a very different type of leadership to run 4 people than to manage 40 people. And the biggest challenge for me was the workloads. It was just it was just incredibly difficult because you were growing so rapidly. And there was so much pressure on you because every supplier wanted to phone you up. Your phone would never stop ringing. You had all the franchisees ringing, asking questions. So the amount of phone calls, emails was just overbearing, and it was exhausting. And I was there for 10 years, but I burnt myself out because it was just all-encompassing.
Did you leave Harvey Norman because you were burned out? Or?
Yeah, absolutely. I reached a point where I said, honestly, I can't do this anymore. This has become my God. And it was very, and I knew that, that my marriage was under threat. Because although I was at home, I was always thinking about work. I don't know if you've ever been there, but it's a very dangerous place to be because you're not present. And people would always phone you up, and they'd phone you up on weekends, and it was just, and I was traveling all the time. There were very late nights because there was a lot of supplier entertaining. So there was a lot of that sort of stuff. Which wasn't necessarily, it was fun, but in the long run, it was becoming very unhealthy.
Yeah. So do you remember like a point or a time where you feel like, now this is too much, I just gotta get out of here?
Well, I got sick.
Yeah.
And when I got sick, I realised that, gee whiz, I'm 35 years old and I'm sick. And I got sick for about 3 years, and I was coughing blood, and it was... And the doctors couldn't work out what was going on, and they said, well, like your body's been through a hurricane. And then I realised that, wow, this is a zero-sum game. Imagine being so successful, supposedly, and then being sick at 35. And you sort of question the validity of a model that says, success is everything. But I have a very simple philosophy now, is that you can be the most successful person in the world, but if you don't have your health, it's a zero-sum game. So I had a wake-up call. It was a good wake-up call for me. I felt that I had done a good job for 10 years. I had built a reputation that I could do other things. So I wasn't... in many ways, it gave me a platform to write books. It gave me a platform to be a business educator. It gave me a platform to do public speaking. It gave me a platform to do coaching. And I leveraged that to allow me, myself, to do something that I had a more passion for, which was helping other people in business. Because at that stage, I realised that although I understood business, I started to read an enormous amount of business books. And I started to then come to the realisation I wasn't that good. I had just stumbled upon some principles that I applied without knowing the principle and got some success. And I kept on reading and reading and reading and reading and read so many business books in all different areas that I was then able to teach that to others. Teach what I had learnt in Harvey Norman, teach what I had learnt in coaching other businesses, and teach what I had learnt in reading books, and combining all of that to build that company called Achievers Group, which was essentially an extension of my own personality, which was to help people in business.
Did you start Achievers Group right after Harvey Norman?
Yeah, predominantly in 2000 and probably, yes, predominantly I did. And then I wrote a few books and people liked the books and then people read the books and said, would you mind speaking at our event? And I did that and, you know, that's really broadened my skills. And I really started to have a feel for small businesses. I just felt that, you know, it's great to work in the big end of town. Don't get me wrong. They pay you well and all that sort of stuff. But sometimes you don't feel that you make a difference. Honestly, you don't. But if you can help a plumber who is a good technical plumber to run a better business, because sometimes people go into business because they think they've got a technical skill. So they go, I'm a good plumber, so I'll have a good plumbing business, which is the worst thing ever. It's like you, I'm a good photographer, I'll have a good photographer's business.
No,
that could be totally incorrect.
It doesn't work like that.
And I then started to actually say, look, if you want to be a great plumber, you've got to think like a business person. You've got to act like a business person. So there was almost a re-education and rewiring them to understand what it means to run a plumbing business. And lo and behold, I had some success. And when you change a small business person, you change everything in their life because you change their relationship with their partner and you actually do a pivot change for generations with their relationship with their children. Because I'm very much about balance and leverage and not working all the time and showing them how to make more money with less. And most tradespeople, the way that they actually make money is they trade their time for money. So they're working on weekends, they're doing quotes and they're out and about, which is all great, but it's not necessarily always positive in building a healthy relationship and a healthy family. Because if you're absent, then it's sort of your children suffer.
True.
So that's sort of what I've been doing. And I did that for a long time. And then I then was very fortunate. I was coaching a friend of mine who ran a very successful travel wholesale business. And he said, why don't you join me? And I was curious because it was an area that I had never done before. I'd reached a certain age in my life. I was about 57 at that stage.
Okay, that's.
And I said, oh, you know, I want to slow down. So I joined his company. He made me a director and a stakeholder. So I'm still doing that at the moment. Plus, I'm doing the coaching. I'm running the travel wholesale business. I'm also doing. I teach scripture at high schools because I really want to give back to mainly to teenagers to realise that their identity and their self-worth doesn't come from what other people say.
True.
And because I've had two children, one my own natural daughter and one a stepdaughter that have both suffered enormously from anorexia, eating disorders. And I realised a lot of it was all this social pressure to be perfect, to be, you have to be something that you were never meant to be. And I started to then sort of say, well, you know, if I can help teenage students, because I'm a Christian, to understand how to walk within and understanding the power of having God in their life and not relying on others for their approval, but seeking to get the approval from God, then that would be a great thing to do. And I've been doing that for the last couple of years.
What was your childhood like? Like, what was your... So you grew up basically in Western Sydney area, right?
Yeah, I was a Westie. I came from Italian stock, so my parents were Italian.
Okay.
They came out here in the 50s. There were a lot of Italians who came out in the 50s to Australia Because at that stage, Australia was looking for migrants, and they had basically tried to get all the migrants they could from England, and then they said, okay, we will now start to go to Greece, Italy, and Spain. And they were 10-pound Aussies. They called them 10-pound Aussies because in order to get to Australia, you only had to pay £10.
Really?
Yeah,
Like all
and
the
you
way
went
from
on a
Italy?
boat. You went on a boat called the Canberra, and essentially you would come to Australia, and because they were looking for workers, and there was lots of work. So my parents came out here in the 50s and started a new life. So we were first generation here.
Okay.
They left their entire families in Italy to have a better life. So I grew up with Italian culture and parents.
Were you born here?
Yeah, I was born here, but very Italian because all of our friends were Italian. It's almost like when you don't have family, all the other people don't have family either, and they all come together and they live in communities. So that's very much the Italian culture, And then I grew up in Granville, in fact, and I went to Granville Boys High.
Yeah.
And then I went to uni after that, and it was it's just my experience.
During your childhood and teenage days, did you feel like you wanted to become a businessman? Or?
No, absolutely not.
No?
No. I don't know. I did okay at school, but it wasn't an aspirational thing. But I really enjoyed marketing. For some particular reason, I knew instinctively how to sell and market something. I was always a bit of an entrepreneur. I was one of those people that would get pocket money for a job, and then I would outsource it to someone else and give them less of the money because I didn't want to do the work. And my mum used to say, Antonio, you are such a naughty boy. You were supposed to do the work, and I got a friend to do the work, and I paid him half of what I got. So I convinced him that if I had 20 cents, I have to mow the lawn, I'll give you 10 cents because I figured I didn't want to do the work, so I wanted to get someone else to do the work, and I'd pay him half and keep the other half.
So you had that entrepreneurial feeling or skill from the very...
Yeah, I was a bit of a hustler, and I think when you're buying stock, especially in retail, you need to understand how to buy really well, and you need to know how to market well. And I had that skill. There was no question that I had that skill, and that's what the Harvey Norman needed. They needed someone who knew how to buy well and how to sell it.
So did any of those came from your parents, or you just...
No, my parents were blue-collar workers.
Okay.
I worked in factories. So it was just something. I was a bit of a black sheep of the family. I was rebellious. My dad was a Labor supporter. I was a Liberal supporter. I was a staunch capitalist. He was a staunch socialist. He would talk about the great Labor government. I would talk about, I think, sort of liberalism is a better approach. It's the profit incentive. We should reward people on their efforts. So it was a very different philosophy. But I had great respect for my father and mother because they were amazing parents. I hear about other people's childhoods. I never suffered that. My parents loved us intently as children and always sacrificed their own well-being for their children. It was a very Italian thing to do, but at that stage it was all about the children. And we were spoilt. Honestly, I got married and I didn't marry an Italian. I didn't even know how to make my bed. Okay. Because when you're an Italian boy, it's very, very difficult.
How did you shift it from that?
It was very challenging because I wasn't lazy. I just didn't know what to do because I'd never done it before, and I didn't even know how to cook because my mum would always cook. She'd get up at 4 o'clock in the morning and cook for me. It's like, oh my goodness me! It doesn't prepare you well for life unless you marry another Italian. But you wouldn't find an Italian like that because no Italian girl would be like that because that's old traditional schooling.
It's changing now. Different things are changing. It's completely different, Like for me, I was able to cook somehow because I I used to help my mom somehow, So I had
Well,
some
you're
ideas.
a good son. I was lazy.
Yeah, but I mean, that's like the case with most of our Nepali generations too. Like, we live with our parents till we are in the university, like almost till 30 years of age, we would be with our parents and like they would cook for us and we would just be, spoiled brat out there.
Absolutely. It doesn't prepare you well for marriage, does it?
No. And it doesn't prepare you for like, especially when you come here as migrants,
Yeah.
it doesn't prepare you for that.
No.
Like, how to manage your finances, how to manage your time, how to cook food and everything like that. It gets really overwhelming at the beginning, but I guess we learn through time and that happens. But yeah, that's good to know. So you were completely built by yourself. Like, there was nothing coming from your parents that taught you to be entrepreneurial. It just
No, not at all. Not at all. But I think what happened is that once I had some success, I realised that I could help others. And I think that really sparked me because I wanted to, even at that age, to somehow make a difference. I think I've always believed that we all have the capacity to make a difference in people's lives. And I was driven by that desire. That's why I wrote the books. That's why I went to small businesses, because I could make a difference. That's why I helped Scripture. Even now, it was just amazing how you take something that's bad. During COVID, I was working in the travel industry, and as you can imagine, it was devastated. And during that period, I said to my wife, I just can't sit at home and do nothing, although we were getting paid by the government. So she said, I know it sounds weird, but I don't think you'll like it. But if you want, I'll get you an interview at the hospital that I work at. She works at a very large Sydney hospital called Royal North Shore. And they're looking for operations assistants. And this is working in the 20 operating theatres. And it's a lot of blood because you're dealing with, helping the doctors and nurses with the heavy lifting. You're lifting patients, putting them onto beds. You're bringing in the medical equipment. It's all that sort of stuff. It's a really hands-on role. And I said, oh, well, I'll go for it. And lo and behold, I didn't have any health experience. But because they were so desperate for people during COVID, they said, we'll take you on. We'll train you. And honestly, even now, even though my board said, we want you to back at work 5 days a week, I still work at the hospital 1 day a week.
Really? Okay.
Because it means so much to me, because I believe that I'm actually helping someone. I'm giving back. It's a public hospital. It's people who, people that are waiting years for operations, it's emergency operations. And I still enjoy it. And I will always continue to do that because it gives me a sense of grounding. It's not a leadership role. It's a humbling role, but one that really has enriched my life to give me a better perspective on suffering, to know how blessed I am, and to know the knowledge of good health. Because a lot of people, they're in doing those operations, they could have been prevented through better choices that they make. And you see that, and you understand that prevention is much better than cure in a hospital.
True.
So yeah, I still continue to do that because it enriches my life. And I've said to the board, it doesn't matter, I'll take less money if I work 4 days, because I just don't want to surrender this, because it makes such a big difference to my life.
Have you always been the kind of person who likes to do different things at the same time?
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah. How do you manage that? Does it even bother you, like, whenever you are involved in like 3 different things, let's say, and you don't see much of a success in any one of them, and you feel like maybe I'm not utilizing my time like that? How do you manage that?
I can, because fortunately I have a gift. Now, some could say it's a curse, but I do suffer from ADHD.
I have a little bit of that.
Huh?
I have a little bit of that.
Yeah, so people who have ADHD have enormous focus, but they have this enormous capacity to do many things because they get excitement from many
Yep,
things.
yep.
So we can start things up brilliantly. We can move and we have that variety. When people say, how can you do so many roles that are so different? It's because that is what turns you on. Where I fall downwards on is I don't do administration well. When a job becomes boring, it loses all interest to me. Once I've conquered something, it's almost like, what's next? So it's almost like, now I'm better at it now, but it was almost like, and Harvey Norman was there for 10 years because it was always growing, so it was always exciting. So wherever a lot of people would say, you know, you should just go for a stable, conservative role, it's very difficult for me to do that because ultimately my nature is always seeking something innovative, exciting, different, variety is really important in my life. Probably not so much now with wisdom, but still an important aspect. So every week, you know, I will do business coaching, training, I'll do travel, I'll go to school kids and teach scripture, and then I'll work in the hospital. And then on top of that, I do exercise to sort of ground it all out. It's almost like, okay, it's just something exciting every day.
It doesn't overwhelm you.
No, no. When you've got AHDH, that inspires you. That's your juice. In fact, it never overwhelms you. It's the rush. So you don't have ADHD, but if you did, you would understand that.
I have a little bit of that because I'm doing like 2-3 things at like right now. You know, I have my support work. I'm doing lensography. I'm doing this, and I enjoy this. Doing like I can't be in a single place doing same thing 5 days a week. I need to be in different places.
Yeah, absolutely.
I enjoy that.
Yeah.
But what happens is sometimes I just get overwhelmed by all of that, and somehow I need to figure out to ground myself and check back and realize that this is what I actually want to do. This is what actually makes me.
You've got to have focus. Yeah. And you're right. And you go through periods where you start to say no. You know, I've recently cut back on a few things because not because I couldn't do everything. And I said to them, look, guys, the reality is that I'm overloaded. I don't want you to take offense, but I can't help you anymore. And what I've learned is being very comfortable saying no.
Yeah, that's something.
Because sometimes if you say yes to everybody, you're trying to please everybody. And by pleasing everybody, you yourself become the loser because you're always pushed and you're not doing, and you've got to learn to say no and be very comfortable that sometimes you may not be popular.
No. True. And let's get into the business section. Like I actually read this book, Business Success. I've read it once and I'm reading it again. It's a really cool book for like anyone who is either starting or who is into business for a few years. Your activations are really, very helpful. One thing that I've noticed time and again is what is your purpose in life? It's like 3 or 4 times we have to like write it down in this book. So what do you think like faith or, you know, belief or purpose actually means in a business?
Well, I think there's an old saying, without vision, people perish. And you can see very successful businesses, I mean, incredible businesses that are very wealthy and successful were never started with wealth in mind. For example, Bill Gates. In his garage, his vision was never to become the world's richest man. His vision was only one thing, to have an operating system that sat on everyone's personal computer. And it's when you have the why, the rewards come. A lot of people chase the money, but the money is an outcome of having an amazing why. And your why is it's your wild goal. It's your amazing goal that if you told your friends who weren't your friends, they might try to talk you out of it. they might say to you, you're a dreamer. They might say to you, take it easy. You might even challenge them because they gave up on their dream. So they want you to play it safe. They don't want you to get hurt. But I think life is an adventure. I think you've got to look at it from that context. And so I think you've got to have a why. Your why is, why do you, in business, why do you get out of bed? Why do you do this? Other companies that have done it. Richard Branson is a classic example. When he first started, mainly with the airlines, he was horrified at the monopolisation that the British Airlines had over the skies of Britain, and the pad service and the excessive pricing. So he created Virgin as a model to effectively break the stronghold, the monopolisation that the large carrier had. That was his why. It wasn't like to be successful. It wasn't, this is what people don't get. And if you've got a great why, because you've got to have a great why, because you're going to get hammered. Sometimes it's going to be tough. If you don't have a strong enough why, you know what you do? You quit.
True.
You give up. You say, oh, it's all too hard. I'll go back. I'll go get a job. Blah, 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 blah. I've seen it. Seen it so many times. So that's why I say to you, have you got the why? Have you got the why? Why do you do this? And is it going to sustain you for 20 years, 30 years?
Yeah. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Going on, there are a few things in here. We talk about the why at the beginning, then we go into cash flows, then we go into team, marketing, and sales. What do you think is one of the most important things in business that one should focus on?
Two principles. What you measure, you manage. If I can ever give advice to any business person, if you want to improve something, you've got to measure it. So I say to them, if you want to improve your marketing, you've got to measure your leads. You've got to measure your conversion rate. You've got to measure your average dollar sale. Then you've got to then you've got to manage your sales. Sort of measure your sales. Then you've got to measure your income. Because as soon as you start measuring something, it's great. It's like when you're losing weight. As soon as you start measuring yourself, you start to lose weight because you're measuring yourself. So what you measure, you manage, and what you inspect, you improve. And a lot of times in businesses, the reason that they're unsuccessful is because they don't measure anything. They just continue to do what they've always done. They don't know what result they're getting. They might look at the end result, but they don't understand what are the activities that they could measure to give them that result, and how do we improve them. And the other thing is, an old saying is, turnover is vanity. Profit is sanity, and cash flow is reality. A lot of people, when they start a business, they don't understand that they don't get a regular paycheck. And I have to prepare them. I have to say to them, whatever think you're going to make in the first year, halve it and halve it again, and that's about right. And if you can live with that, if you can get your partner to agree on that, then pursue your dream. Because what they do is they overestimate what they do in the short term and they underestimate what they do in the long term, because a business is synergistic. It snowballs. So it's not the same each year. And those are the two aspects that I've seen for small businesses that they have to get their head around. And also the importance of selling. I can't explain to you that, a lot of people don't realise that we're always selling. If you're the business owner, you've got to know how to sell. You know, it's like, oh, I don't like selling. Well, the reality is you're in business, and, and until you can scale up to get salespeople, you are that person. And it's great to do great marketing, but, you know, there is a point where you actually have to get involved with a prospect, and you actually have to get them to say yes and give you some money. And if you can't do that well, you can have the best lead generation in the world, but you're losing it all because you are just useless at selling.
True. That's something I had to learn. I'm still learning, you know, like first thing, as you say, like being a business owner, I had to completely shift my mindset from like a 9-to-5 job to being an entrepreneur. It itself is like, it has taken me a long time to get used to the fact that, okay, it's not 9-to-5, I don't get to rest on Saturday and Sundays like my friends, you know, just getting out of that mindset. And another thing is, selling is very hard, you know, for someone like me. I feel like, I guess because I have this view of the traditional salesmanship where like going to a car dealer and they're just trying to sell you, telling, oh, this is good, this is that and that. And it's like forcing someone to do something they don't want to do. How would you suggest to someone like that to get out of that into like selling?
And I think what you've just said is an issue. It's a mindset issue.
Okay.
And the reason that you're not good at selling is because you believe that selling has a negative connotation. So you can't do something well if it doesn't fall in line with your value system. You'll never do it well. So you convince yourself, oh, I've got to do it, but I don't believe in doing it. So you have to change your paradigm. And the only way that you change your paradigm is think of it this way. You don't sell. You help people buy. We all love buying. We do. We have churches called Westfields. They are the meccas. It's a sport. So your job is not to sell. It's to help people buy. But it's deeper than that. In every instance, and the reason that I'm supposedly good at selling is because I don't sell. I honestly help people to solve their problems. Because all that I am is I'm a professional problem solver. And I have a very simple approach, a bit like a doctor, that before you prescribe the medicine, before you prescribe the product, before you prescribe the service, you have to diagnose and you have to examine. And the gift in selling is not what you say. It's how well you listen.
Makes sense.
Because if you listen well and you listen to that prospect and you take an interest, then at that stage you can then say, hey, John, I think we can help you. Or it might be as simple as, I don't think we can help you. But if you can help them and you've taken the time to listen, taken notes, then essentially it's not selling, you're just helping them to solve a problem. Different. And then you believe it so much that you can be passionate about it. And then they'll go, wow, whatever you're on, I'll take. But it's not being pushy. Yes, it's being enthusiastic. And if you're not enthusiastic about what you do, God help you. Okay? Because you're the owner. If you don't believe in what you're doing, well, why are you doing it?
True. And another thing, as I went through the book, you were talking about the discount policy. You know, like for I think most new business owners who get into business do this mistake. I have done this. I am trying to get out of this, discounting your prices, because you get into the pressure of making the sales to get the money in, and because of which you start discounting. How do you get out of that whole trap?
Yeah, it is a trap, and it happens quite a lot, and it's very dangerous because as soon as you start discounting, you have to do so much more volume. And if you're a one-man show, you're going to exhaust yourself because you can do a lot of turnover, but you're not making any money. So what's the point of doing it? The best way I've seen to do it is, first of all, you have to enhance your marketing. You actually have to understand that that people are not buying the product, they're buying value for money. And value for money is benefits over price. So you've got to increase the benefits of your product and service. So people look at you and they go, wow, that's so good value for money. But if you don't show the value for money, if you don't show the marketing, you don't show the differentiation, everyone just views you as a commodity. For example, you're a photographer.
Yeah.
So they would just then compare you with another photographer. But if you are able to enhance your website, your testimonials, your credentials, your everything about you, and you can show them the value proposition of working with you, and even doing that in your quote, saying this is the value and this is what we deliver, then they look at that and they look at 2 or 3 different other quotes that don't have all that sizzle, but just put the price, and you've got all that sizzle, and yours is 20% more, but they see the value in yours because the value is in the sum, not just the price.
Yeah.
So in order to stop discounting, you first of all have to increase your marketing. You also have to get more people in your pipeline, because when you've got more customers, you don't discount so often. You tend to discount when you're desperate for business. Okay, I got to get food on the table. So what do? Oh, I don't have a lot of leads at the moment, so I'll give this guy a deal because we need the money.
Yeah.
And that starts a cycle.
Yep.
And then they give you a referral, and they give you a referral for somebody who else wants a discount.
Exactly.
Because they're friends like them. Okay?
Yeah, that happens.
Because we tend to have tribes.
Yeah.
And everyone who's got a discount mentality, they'll speak to other people, say, "Oh, ring him up. He's got really good prices." So straight away they're saying, "I hear you got good prices."
Yeah.
I don't want good prices.
You got to change your mindset from just doing it as a job and giving discount to like, what value are you giving to
Correct.
them?
And if you don't believe in that value,
Yeah.
no one else is going to.
How do you figure out your values then?
You've got to establish what is your unique selling proposition, your unique buying advantage. You've almost got to basically say, what is the greatest fear that clients like mine have in the marketplace? For example, you're a wedding photographer. What would be, in your opinion, the greatest fear that clients who are about to do a wedding have? What is their greatest fear? Just workshop this with me. What would you say? Like, what would be
like in terms of like photography itself?
Yeah, what keeps them up at night? You're about to have a wedding, you're spending money. What is their greatest fear of all those people that they employ? You know, they're employing celebrants, they're employing caterers, they're employing photographers. What's their greatest fear?
That they wouldn't show up in time, or they wouldn't deliver what was promised.
Okay. All right. So therefore, their greatest fear. Now, if your unique selling proposition overcomes that fear, and you are able to wrap that around with a guarantee, then you're addressing their greatest fear in your marketing. So what you're saying to us is, sir, before we start, let me show you our 5-point promise. And if we don't deliver these things, we will actually give you our services free of charge. Straight away, they're going, this guy's amazing. He's like, he knows my greatest fear and he's overcoming it in his presentation. That is your value proposition.
Makes sense. So somehow I got to figure out how to solve that fears that people will have throughout the wedding.
For your target market.
Yeah.
So ultimately, the people that are having, because you think of it, a wedding's a big deal. They usually, you know, I've got my cousin doing a wedding and they've been planning this wedding for about 2 years. And I think they put more emphasis on the wedding than anything else because, anyway, and they're putting all this effort into it. And they're making, it's a really big deal to a lot of people.
It is.
It is a huge deal. And it's almost like the perfect day. And the last thing I think you want is something to get messed up. You want to make sure a service provider delivers what they say, is hassle-free, turns up on time, and basically communicates with you so you effectively don't actually have to get involved because you've got so many other things going on at the moment. You just want somebody you can trust.
Yep.
And I'm actually happy to pay $300, $400, $500, $1,000 more for that because that's called peace of mind.
Yeah.
Because if I go down the cheap route, I'm going to myself, well, cheap might be cheap service too.
Yep.
It might be cheap delivery. It might be inconsistency. And that's okay, but realistically, at that stage, people only get married once.
Yep.
Why would you compromise on photography for an event that you'll show thousands of people? You'll have albums to show your children. You will actually, and why would you go down the cheap and nasty route for something like that?
You gotta show that. I'm going to write exactly what you said. I'm going to write those things down.
Why would you? Have you ever been to a person's place and they've opened up the photographs?
Yeah.
Usually they'll show you photographs 30 years ago of their wedding.
Of course.
So it's not like you don't show these photographs. You use them all the time. They're probably the most valuable photographs you've got on top of your children. Why would you compromise?
Of course not.
But sometimes you need to ask that question of them because you need to bring them into the light. So your job is to just go, oh man, he's right. I don't like what he's saying, but my goodness me, we've never thought, I was just going down the cheap and ugly route.
I gotta show them that value. Another thing throughout this is like, how do you find the right kind of clients you want to work with?
You market to them.
Yeah.
So essentially your marketing is not aimed at everybody. You find a niche, you go centimetres wide, you go kilometres deep. You find a niche that you are really comfortable with. So you might say, look, I want to do wedding photographs for couples that are essentially are looking at doing a wedding in this region of Sydney. You might say, I want to target the eastern suburbs, the northern beaches, because ultimately they will probably spend more money. Or you want to do some ethnic minorities because you realise that they have amazing weddings like Indians and they would have Lebanese. They spend a fortune on weddings. So therefore you start to do some research and you say, well, who are the marketplaces that value and will spend big bucks on weddings? Because you're part of that. So it's not big bucks on photography, it's big bucks on weddings.
Weddings as a whole.
And then, because you're part of that, and then you go, okay, I'm going to become a brilliant expert at doing Lebanese weddings. You get a Lebanese wedding. Okay, you do a Lebanese wedding. You might even discount the first one. You're not discounting it. What you're doing is you're entering the marketplace to do it. Then you say to the guy, you know, honestly, I'm going to tell you, be really honest, I'm going to give you a deal because what I want you to do is I want at the end of, if my services are great, I want a testimonial from you. I want a referral from you. I want you to write some notes about me and about my service. And he says, sure, anything for the discount. You do a brilliant job because it's going to be brilliant. You go beyond the call of duty. You do everything brilliantly. Then at the end, he gives you the referral. It says who the Lebanese person is. And then you get another Lebanese people. And then when you speak to Lebanese people, they see all these referrals from Lebanese people. They go, oh, we wouldn't trust an Australian, but we trust another Lebanese.
Yeah. So that's the way
We're very tribal.
Yeah, true. Very true. I gotta have that market research, I guess, properly regarding whom I basically building a client persona. I think that's the thing.
And you got to work out, who do I want to... Don't market to everybody because a jack of all trades, master of none. There are some people that are not right for you. Let them go. If somebody says, you know, what's the cheapest price? Or, you know, they say, I've got a budget of only X amount. They're not for you. Don't even try to chase them because they're not worth it. And trust the world, if you do your marketing well, that you'll get the right ones.
So you got to focus a lot on marketing. To get that.
Yeah, and making sure that your branding reflects your value proposition. Do your Google AdWords, do your Facebook ads.
Into that for sure. So business success. What does business success mean to you now compared to like what it used to mean to you? Because as you've told that you have become more wiser, you have gone through a lot ups and downs. So what does business success mean to you now compared to like let's say 20 years ago?
I think 20 years ago it was one-dimensional. Success to me is number of aspects, because I believe that we have a wheel. And if the wheel is just about work or money, the wheel is broken because the other areas are not right. So if I looked at my life now, my life is about having quality relationships with family, with spouses. It's health. It's my time, not being selfish, but realizing that there are certain things that I do. It's about my own education. It's about continuing to grow in areas that I want to grow. It's about career or business. It's around finances. It's about my own spiritual dimension. And I think success is having all of those working together. Because I think that gives you a significant life. I think success can be very temporal, but significance has very little to do with money. It's how you've affected others. And that effect is on your family, your partner, your kids, and the others in your world. So it's very much changed. I wouldn't say that I'm as driven as I used to be, but I'm 63.
Of course.
So I don't need to be as driven.
Yeah.
But the greatest bit of wisdom that I can give younger people is don't be consumed to the point that you lose sight of enjoying the journey. Please be present and smell the roses.
True. Thank you for that. That's a good line. So what's next for you? What are you actually working with at Achiever Group? So you're doing a lot of things around here. What's next for you? What do you actually want to leave behind, I would say?
Well, I'm just continuing to do what I'm doing. I'm very happily married, and fortunately enough, I got remarried about 4 or 5 years ago. And part of that commitment to that marriage was to make my second marriage better than my first marriage. Because I think I stuffed up the first marriage. I was too ambitious. I didn't focus on the relationship. And we became distant when the kids grew up. So there was no relationship anymore. There was nothing. The kids were the foundation of the relationship, but as soon as the kids had grown up, we were two strangers. And I said to myself, that was dumb. Because divorce is very expensive. Yeah. I can't tell you how expensive it is. So it's not something you ever want to do again. Yeah. It's like, oh my goodness me. So I reflected back and I said, well, what, because it's very easy to blame others for failings. It takes real spirit to look from within and say, what did I do wrong? And I did a lot of things wrong. And I started to slowly address all of those things and say, okay, if I had an opportunity to get remarried again, what would I do differently? And in many ways, I feel that I'm starting to do that. And that's really fulfilling my life. Enjoying just being present, knowing when enough is enough. Seneca said it this way: true prosperity is not having more, it's actually needing less.
Yeah.
Okay? And there's a lot of, we live in a very world of society of consumerism, and we are driven by this aspiration, if I have this, my life will be better. I don't agree with that philosophy. I've seen too many people who have had a lot still have terrible, miserable lives, emotionally, relationally, health-wise. So to me, that's not success. So I think it's that balanced approach.
Yeah.
It's enjoying the moment. It's defining what is important to you. Your success is defined by you. It's not defined by the world. If you said, I want to be home at 6 o'clock every night to feed my children, to look after them and to put them to bed, and you're able to achieve that every night, then in my book, you would be a success. Because a success is a predetermined goal that is set by you, not society.
True. Success would mean different to it's an individual, it should be an individual goal rather than what others would say or what you see around the world.
Correct.
That's really nice. Thank you very much, Tony. Thank you very much for your time. This was really good. So with the Achievers Group, can anyone just approach you if they want help with
just
their
go onto the
business?
website, www.achieversgroup.com. I don't have a lot of bandwidth, but, like I still speak to people. I don't want any money. I say, hey, have you thought of this? I might send them a video because we've done lots of videos and, have a look at this. And they go, oh, yeah, I got it now. That's great, Tony. And if they want a copy of the book, just let us know. Go on to Achievers Group and I'll send them a copy. They won't even have to pay for it. I've still got them in my garage.
Yeah.
Okay.
I got this one for free. So thank you
did. You did.
And it was really nice. Thank you for your time once again. I really appreciate this. And I hope to bring you here again.
Fantastic. I look forward to it when I'm 97.
Yes, why not? We wish you long health.
Yeah,
man.
you'll go, oh, wow, now he's an old man.
More wisdom, more things to know.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tony.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good one.
Thank you.
Thank you.
If you like this video, hit subscribe. You can listen to the full podcast in YouTube, Apple Music and Spotify.